There is no question as to how deeply paintings can affect us. They are profound enigmas. Artists channel their inner vision onto the canvas for us to see, and such visages often strongly influence us. We may cry, feel powerless, be inspired, filled with joy, or be repulsed. We can experience a wide array of feelings by the simple act of staring at a painted canvas. But is it possible that paintings can influence us and the world in other ways? Could there be occurrences where the artist is channeling something other than their own inner vision? Could there be times when the paintings become something more, something beyond the world of the known? While these works of art do indeed affect us on deep levels, it appears that sometimes they go beyond our emotions to affect our physical world. In other cases, the paintings seem to have strange powers of their own. For a very long time, there have been these anomalous artworks that seem to transcend the very realm of art itself. In this video, we will examine a number of these petrifying portraits. One of the most disturbing allegedly cursed paintings out there was created by serial killer John Wayne Gacy, a truly hideous and evil entity. He also would dress up as a clown at events for charity called Pogo the Clown, leading the media to dub him the Killer Clown as a result of this alternate persona. While in prison, Gacy began painting, going on to create numerous works during the time of his incarceration. Every one of these paintings left those who saw them feeling unsettled, and rumors began spreading that one in particular was haunted and cursed. This painting was called Pogo the Clown, and it is nightmarish even without any consideration of it being cursed. As the name implies, it is a self-portrait of Gacy in his role as Pogo the Clown, and it has been tied to numerous instances of death and ill fortune. In 2000, the painting was purchased by singer Nikki Stone, and immediately his life was plagued with misery. His mother received a cancer diagnosis, his dog passed away, and strange freak accidents befell him one after another. Terrified, he found a friend who was willing to take it off his hands, but this friend then died in a car crash shortly thereafter. The painting then went to another friend, who afterwards went mad and attempted to kill himself. Numerous cursed paintings are of the portrait variety. There is a very unsettling portrait by Ukrainian artist Svetlana Telets called The Rain Woman. It shows a pale woman with half-open eyes in the rain wearing a black hat, painted in ghoulish colors and emanating a vague feeling of dread. It is claimed that Telets suffered nightmares for months prior to painting The Rain Woman, as well as the unsettling feeling that she was being watched. Eventually, she felt compelled quite suddenly to start work on a particular painting, and it was as if an unknown force had taken control of her hand. She stared in wonder as her hand painted the Rain Woman without any volition on her part, unveiling bit by bit a portrait of this mysterious stranger who had perhaps been the one haunting her. The whole ordeal was so disturbing to Telets that she quickly sold the spooky painting, only for it to be returned multiple times by various people who reported that the Rain Woman was watching them, altering her expression, and sometimes even stalking them, and they did not want to even so much as look at it. One person reported the painting fell off their wall over and over again no matter how much they tried to secure it. Another said a dark figure had begun following them throughout their home, and there was another customer who said he began seeing white eyes everywhere. There were also those who reported physical symptoms, including dizziness, headaches, and nosebleeds. Musician Sergei Skashkov would eventually purchase the painting in 2008, but it was then hidden away by his wife after she saw an eerie apparition floating through their apartment late at night. Just who might be the mysterious woman shown in the painting? What otherworldly force compelled Telets to paint the Rain Woman? Could it really be haunted? These are questions we cannot answer. There is a painting by Juan Luna called Portrait of a Lady that shows Luna's wife, Paspardo de Tavera, who he murdered. It is said the painting exudes feelings of deep hatred, and it is claimed to have caused misfortune, sickness, and death to its owners. On the opening night of a Metropolitan Museum of Art exhibition in 1987, the bulb of the spotlight illuminating the painting suddenly exploded. It is displayed no more. Sometimes an artist's entire body of work appears to be cursed, cursed. It is widely known that the work of Arshile Gorky, an Armenian-American painter, had a great influence on abstract expressionism. Although considered one of the greatest 20th century American painters, his artwork has long been rumored to be cursed. Witnesses report his paintings mysteriously catching fire, falling from the walls they were hanging on with no explanation, and being haunted by a ghost with black hair and a blue raincoat. It has also been connected with tragedies. A plane carrying 87 passengers, 8 crew, and 15 of Gorky's paintings horrifically crashed on March 1st, 1962 into a swamp, only a couple minutes after it took flight. Everyone on the plane died, and the paintings were destroyed. Another painter whose work seems to be plagued by dark supernatural forces is the 19th century realist painter from Russia by the name of Ilya Repin. A large number of his paintings have allegedly caused not only fear but anxiety attacks, as well as nausea and headaches. It is said that shadow people have been seen lurking near them. There are rumors that models for Repin's paintings, mostly healthy young men, would die soon after he painted them. And after Repin painted the portrait of Prime Minister Stolypin, he was immediately shot in Kiev. In 1903, Repin produced a work called The Ceremonial Meeting of the State Council, and within a few years, every single person depicted in the painting died. A painting by Repin called Ivan the Terrible and his son Ivan is rumored to have a very potent curse, allegedly causing insanity and suicide to many of those who look at it. In May 2018, the painting was vandalized by a man using a metal pole. The man, who was intoxicated at the time of the vandalism, later said that when he went to see it, he became, quote, overwhelmed by something, end quote. Not only are famous paintings said to be cursed, but also those privately owned, often by people desperately wanting to have the paintings taken off their hands in whatever way possible. Mel Hamilton, 55, discovered a portrait in 2020 of a woman in white that was left by a garbage bin on a road in Brighton, England. She took the painting home for herself, had it reframed, and put it up on her wall. Paranormal phenomena began immediately. Her TV would switch from channel to channel by itself. Lights were switched on and off as if by some unseen force. Doors opened and shut of their own accord, and her dog, a healthy German shepherd, tragically died. Mel had the following to say about the painting, quote, I would hear the door handles move and the keys go in and out. The TV changed the channel. This overwhelming darkness was awful and I was alone. It very quickly became apparent that something was amiss. Everything was going wrong. Everything. Things got really, really unbearable. There was so much activity that I didn't want to live there. The energy in it, the painting, was just so bad and so dark. I was a nervous wreck and covered in crosses. I went to a meeting and tried to sound rational, but nobody believed me. End quote. Eventually, her son threw away the spooky painting at her request because she felt too frightened by it to even touch it, and after that the phenomena stopped. Another painting that one should never touch depicts Captain Andrew McKeever located not far from Corned Beef & Co. in Roanoke, Virginia. Speaking about the painting, General Manager Sal Rousseau said of it, quote, they said, hey, that picture, don't ever touch it, that it was haunted, that if you move it the ghost would follow you around the restaurant. The only time we do go around it is when we clean it. It's never been moved. A girl that was hanging Christmas lights around the captain, she actually touched the painting. She cut her hand pretty bad that day at Corned Beef. The people that touched it and tried to clean it, they saw shadows walking around. Things would get knocked off the countertops. Before I actually turned all the lights off, the lights shut off on their own. Not exactly sure how it happened, but they shut off for about 3 seconds, and then they cut back on all by themselves. A few customers said they've heard voices and thought their name was being called or whispered, and they never saw anybody. Employees said that after hours, even when the crowds have cleared, some rooms still don't feel empty. I thought I may have seen a silhouette or someone walking through, or think someone was in the room and there was no one in there, but I thought someone was in there. End quote. In 2022, an individual we will refer to as Dan Smith, not his real name, purchased a painting at an antique store depicting 2 dolls. He did this despite the strong discouragement of the owner, who called the painting quote-unquote bad news. After purchasing it, Smith began having trouble sleeping, found insects all through his house, and his hamster passed away. He felt very sick, uneasy, and lonely in a way that he never had before, seemingly for no reason. He claims the diabolical dolls devastated his life, and it wasn't long until he tried to sell the painting online. He had this to say about it. Quote, "The woman at the flea market warned me before buying this, and I will warn you. No good can come from this painting. I didn't think much of it at the time and just assumed she was one of those oddball dealers hawking their wares for cheap. As for the painting, it looked adorable, with two innocent-seeming dolls portrayed in it. But she was right. Don't be deceived," the seller warned. "I don't know whose cursed blood was mixed in with the paint to create this piece, but its powers are strong. I'm starting the auction at $50, which is what I paid for it, but I'm hoping it goes for more to make up for everything I've been through. But before you bid, you've been warned." End quote. According to Reddit user Freezing Moon, he and his roommates in college had an experience with a haunted painting that showed a martini being poured by a bartender. They called him the Martini Man. It is his belief that the painting is haunted by a specific spirit, and he describes his experiences with it as follows. Quote, "I had a weird feeling about it right off the bat. His wide eyes would follow you around the room, and there was just something creepy about it. When you were alone with it, it still felt like there was a real presence with you. About a month or two after the move-in, activities started happening. One day, I was sitting on the couch in the living room playing some video games. I started hearing slamming at the front door, and it was loud. It sounded like somebody sprinting and body slamming the door. By the way, we have a foyer, so I can't see the door from the living room. Thinking it may have been a loud knock, I go to see if there's anyone there. Nothing. This persists throughout the day, and I get up several more times to see if anyone is there. Nothing each time. It's the middle of the day, so I'm more confused than creeped out. I decide to test the door, shaking it, slamming it, knocking on it, even jumping into it. Nothing I did was close to as loud as the noises I was hearing. To top it off, this happened one day and one day only. I never heard this happen again. Not necessarily attributed to the painting, but I'll explain how it connects later." The last personal story is about the footsteps. This happened in the summer when it was just me and one other guy living in the house. It was about 2 a.m. and I was lying in bed playing on my laptop. I start hearing really loud footsteps coming from downstairs. They were like fast stomps. It sounded like someone sprinting while completely drunk. At first I just thought it was a drunken roommate, but there was something strange in the pattern to them. I would hear them start in one part of the house, stomp to another, stop for a while, then pick back up in a completely different part of the house. Eventually, they came running up the stairs, directly to my door, and stopped. I was frozen with fear during the silence. They then started up again, downstairs this time. It kept going for at least 10 more minutes. I should probably explain why I pin all this on the painting and not the house itself. As I already said, its eyes would follow you around the room and had an overall creepy vibe to it. People would come over and say that the painting scared them without hearing any of these stories. We had some girls over for a party and they insisted that we take the painting down. I hastily agreed and took it off the wall. That's when I saw, written on the back of the canvas, the name of the painting, "The Spirit of the Bartender." Quite frankly, I thought this was hilarious, as I had been expressing my distaste for this painting to my roommate for some time, and this corroborated my claims nicely. After that year, the roommate to whom it belonged moved out and took the painting with him. The activity died down after that. End quote. A witness writing on the website Your Ghost Stories tells of a cursed painting bought at an auction by their mother when the witness was only about 8 years old. The parents collected antiques, so much so that their home looked like a museum. On one particular day, an antique painting was brought home by the mother. The creator of the painting was not known, but it depicted a woman standing on the porch of an aged home wearing a long grayish-blue gown. There was a kettle of tea and accompanying cups on a table and a plate with some food, as well as a chair, flowers, and a semi-visible window. The anomalous artwork immediately spooked the witness, and they said, quote, "I felt very strange around the painting from the first day it was hanging up. The hallway in summer was comfortable and not too warm, but after the painting was hung up, the area around the painting turned almost ice cold. Passing the painting, I'd get goosebumps on whatever exposed skin I had. I also started feeling like the lady in the painting was watching me. My twin sisters started saying that they didn't like looking at the painting as it made them feel uncomfortable and like they weren't meant to be around it. My baby brother would walk on the other side of the hallway to it, and when asked why, he'd say he didn't like the lady and that he was cold when he looked at her. He was 5 at the time, nearly 6. Soon it went past just feelings in the hallway. At night we'd start hearing whispers that hadn't been there previous. Our house already had its share of spooky behavior we had got used to, but this was new. Movement of a flash of blue-gray like the dress out of the corner of your eye. A strange touch occasionally in the hallway when no one else was around. This may sound like something from Tales from the Crypt, but I assure you this isn't something I saw on TV. I only wish sometimes it was. After my father, 6'5", 350 pounds of him, got a cold hand run up his back when he was in the shower was any real notice of what we all had said to our parents. Used to other ghosts in the house, we at first thought, oh, it's just another spirit making itself known to us as it's new here, end quote. Following this, many strange and mysterious manifestations occurred. Something tripped the baby brother on the stairs, and he was shoved by frigid fingers upon attempting to stand back up. Houseplants in the vicinity of the ominous artwork wilted, only becoming healthy again when relocated far from it. Their pet dogs growled at the painting, and at other times would whine as they went past it, despite normally being very nice dogs. The painting inexplicably fell from its position on the wall repeatedly, and the family's pet cat scratched and attacked it without any apparent provocation. Finally, they decided they must get rid of the painting, and the witness explains, quote, "So off to the auctions it went, several times. My mother, who knew the buyers, found out they only kept it for a month. They too heard whispers, and their cat also attacked the painting, and gave it to a neighbor who liked it. The neighbor sold it on after her dog freaked out around it. It kept getting sold on or auctioned or given away until 2014, when a man who collected art in Florida bought the painting and did not know of its history. Having again tried to research its past, he only found out it was possibly a painting of an artist's wife who died young. I don't know if it's true or not. There is no real record of the artwork anywhere, and it's not signed. The man who owned it last I heard keeps it in his basement, as it frightened his grandchildren. He says he won't sell it on and keeps it locked up. I think too he knows something isn't right with it. I'm worried as he's old what's going to happen when he dies. This painting I think isn't safe. Either a ghost is in it or attached to it and it's not friendly. So please, any one of you seeing this painting, let me know. It really should be destroyed. I know it probably sounds like a made-up story for kids, and an adult man like myself shouldn't be wary of an old oil painting of someone unknown. This painting is dangerous. Please destroy it if you buy it. It's really not worth the trouble," end quote. In Willenhall, England, there is an allegedly haunted painting in the possession of Phil Solomon, medium and local historian. The creator of the painting is not known. It shows a forsaken fortress canopied by clouds, but overall it does not look all that unusual. However, otherworldly powers do appear to emanate from it, for those who have looked upon it have perceived eerie things deep within the details, along with strange figures that appear to move inside the castle. The painting has disturbed a number of its owners over the years, and what follows is what Solomon himself has to say about it. Quote, "I'm trying to find out who painted this picture and what exactly it is of. People also see literally dozens of ghostly figures in this painting and skulls in the clouds alongside other numerous visions. The painting was bought by a woman in a secondhand shop in Horsley Fields, Wolverhampton, about 30 years ago. She liked the painting, but it unnerved her and both her children insisted it scared them. The first night she put it up, it fell off the wall twice, so she had her husband secure it with a screw. But when they got up the next day, it was on the floor once more. One of her children told his mother that he saw figures coming out of the tower. It was then sold the picture to a woman who owned a new age shop in Walsall Road. People who came into the shop said they saw faces or glowing areas on it. Some people absolutely loved the painting and wanted to buy it. Others didn't like it at all and said it scared them because they could see unusual ghostly figures and lights. The painting was sold on, and it even went to America at one time, amazingly to some friends of mine who insisted they wanted it, but they didn't keep it long before they sold it to a couple who actually lived in all places, my hometown of Willenhall. Then a gentleman who had the painting met me by coincidence and asked me if he could give me a present because he was scared by it." End quote. The anomalous artwork is still owned by Solomon, who was given the disturbing warning that those prone to anxiety or nervousness should not even look at it. Here we have only examined a few of the many allegedly cursed paintings in the world. Could any of them truly be cursed, or are we simply witnessing the power of art to influence the human mind and emotions? With paintings being able to elicit such a wide variety of intense feelings, could that power in and of itself be linked to the alleged paranormal phenomena? It has to be admitted that paintings have the unique ability to show us a glimpse of the inner reality of an artist's mind in a way that not much, if anything else, can. But when it comes to a haunted painting, perhaps we get a glimpse of an entirely different reality as well, one that is not of this world, but of some other world beyond the one we know. Perhaps they are windows into the unseen, where strange beings beyond our comprehension can attempt to make contact with us. Perhaps it will not be until we ourselves have left this earthly existence that we will finally see and understand the whole picture.